Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, my goodness me, the eyes water at the sum of monies being bandied about within the Nigerian space with no end result, no end product at the end of it. Your eyes and your ears will pop at the sum of monies that we're going to be discussing on this video. As guys, I bring you this 2 trillion SIP. Your claims are irrelevant. Senate fires back at presidency. So that's the headline. So the sum of money that we're contending with now in this video is 2 trillion naira special investment program money. So a money that is not attached to any quantifiable end product, just Awoof money. So again, the headline: 2 trillion naira SIP. Your claims are irrelevant. Senate fires back at presidency. So now let's now see what the Barao has to say to the Ole. The Nigerian Senate has fired back at the presidency over a statement on Wednesday signed by the special advisor to President Muhammadu Buhari on social investments, SIP, Mariam Wayas, criticizing the National Assembly over its recent stand on social investment programs. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, alongside the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbadabiamila, criticized the handling of the 2 trillion naira social investment program set up by the government, which did not go down well with the presidency. On Wednesday, Wayas issued a statement accusing the National Assembly of not having the facts. However, on Thursday, in a statement circulated, the Senate expressed displeasure at the response, adding that it was extraneous. So read the full text of the Senate statement below. So here is a full text of the response now to queries about 2 trillion naira that has gone like a abracadabra disappearing act. So now let's now find out what the Senate has to say. The attention of the leadership of the National Assembly has been drawn to the reactions to some newspaper reports on its meeting with the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadiya Umar Farouk, otherwise known as Buhari's side chick, which held on Tuesday, the 7th of April, 2020. The leadership of the National Assembly had called the meeting as part of the legislature's collaborations with the executive arm of government for the effective management of the global situation in Nigeria and mitigation of the harsh effects of the measures adopted in this respect on Nigerians. The focus of the said meeting was the National Social Investment Program, NSIP, which is the vehicle that the government is using to convey its palliative packages to the most vulnerable Nigerians against the backdrop of the lockdown called in many parts of the country to check the spread of the deadly disease. It is worth noting that NSIP has been in existence since 2016 and has been pushing President Buhari's determination to alleviate the conditions of especially the poorest in society. At the meeting with the minister, the leadership of the National Assembly made some observations on aspects of the NSIP and recommended that the implementation process be fine-tuned and the scheme be backed with legislation to make it more efficient, effective, and accord with global best practice. Although the official press statement issued at the end of the meeting clearly conveyed the deliberation and resolution of the meeting, some misinterpretations appeared in the reports by 1 or 2 newspapers. Specifically, there was nowhere in the statement that NSIP was described as a failure as reported by the Nation newspaper or a scam as reported by the Sun newspaper. Also, there was no mention of 2 trillion or any amount whatsoever in the statement. Virtually all other media houses published or broadcast the press statement accurately except for the errant report mentioned above. The comments at the meeting were not made to denigrate any official, but to make the scheme more effective in the delivery of its crucial mandate, and these comments were well taken by the Honorable Minister and her delegation. The Minister was honest enough to admit that the NSIP had some challenges and also bedeviled with intrigues which she was yet battling with. The leadership of the National Assembly would not have suggested an enabling legislation for the NSIP if it does not believe in the relevance of the scheme. We believe this misinterpretation misled the special advisor to the President on social investment, Mrs. Mariam Wayas, to issue a rejoinder containing unfortunate insinuations which were totally extraneous to the discussions at the meeting and the contemplations of the National Assembly. It is true that the leadership of the National Assembly pointed out gaps in the implementation of NSIP. As the representative of the people, it is a key constitutional mandate of the legislature to oversight, review, and make recommendations for better implementation of important programs of government. This, in summary, was what was done on Tuesday's meeting. The observations made by the Senate President Ahmed Lawan and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, retired Honorable is RT, I think is Right Honorable Femi Gbadabiamila, captured the views of many Nigerians. These observations also reflect feedback from the people they represent, who are the targeted beneficiaries of the scheme. We therefore take strong exception to the innuendo by the presidential aide that her rejoinder was issued towards safeguarding the entitlements of the poorest Nigerian citizens whose benefits are likely to cease because they are not known or connected to NASS, so that's the National Assembly, to NASS members or any other persons of influence. The insinuation is unfair to members of the National Assembly and entirely baseless. Public office holders should be receptive to constructive ideas and suggestions expressed to enhance service delivery and to improve the performance of public projects and institutions. The leadership of the National Assembly is committed to sustaining its cordial working relationship with other arms of government, as it has seen the benefits of this approach in the improved environment and speed of policy and decision making, the statement reads. So now, double wahala for the body is really what is going on here. So he said, she said is really what is going on, because there's a lot of undercurrents to this narrative now. The National Assembly are wanting to probe and have oversight of this Awoof money that Malam Buhari is claiming that they are going to distribute to the poorest. And by the way, this distribution has antecedents. This is what happened to the Abacha loot that came back some time ago. Was it $300 million or $800 million? I don't know. This came back during the elections, and this same set of distribution network was what was used until that money disappeared completely, and nobody really was able to really identify who the beneficiaries were, because you had, I'm not sure if it's $300 million or $800 million, but chunky size of money. So you had this large chunk of money which you are allegedly distributing to the poorest and the neediest, and then you put 5 or 10 people in front of cameras to say these are the people we've given them 10,000 naira. So 10,000 naira amongst 10 people does not $300 million make. So this is really the going on now. So now, because their stomach is now widened and their mouth is now wide, in Yoruba we say enwotife, because their mouth is now widened, that hundreds of millions of dollars is not now enough anymore. They are now taking trillions of naira now. I'm not quite sure what the calculation is in dollars, but it's more in the billions, I'm estimating, and they're just going to disappear this money. So now what the presidency and some sort of commentators are alleging is that the National Assembly want to insert their own people into the beneficiaries of this scheme, and the woman, Malam Buhari's side chick, is slightly resistant to that. That look, you cannot insert your own people into this money distribution. So they are now ratcheting it up and tightening the noose to say, okay, we're going to then probe this thing, and you know there's nothing within the Buhari administration that can withstand probity. So now, having then pressured to probe, the now information that is coming out, the speculations that are coming out, is that this woman has now ceded, and she has now given space for them to insert their own people amongst the beneficiaries of this now 2 trillion Naira Awoof. So the 2 trillion Naira Awoof is not going to capital projects. The $800 million that came back from the Abacha money is not going to capital projects. So now let's now look at the converse argument. Had all these monies, this 2 trillion Naira, the hundreds of millions of dollars that were recovered from Abacha, all of this money that they are just awoofing, had all this monies been used to fix the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the people that they are giving 10,000 Naira, they will not need 10,000 Naira, because the infrastructures will be there for them to then engage with the land that they live in to earn a living. If all of this money was used to provide electricity, ditto. If all of this money was used to fix that Apapa port, which trailers are tipping over every single day, ditto. So all of this money, of course, you are giving, if you give these people 10,000 Naira, that 10,000 Naira will not take the average family, because the average family in Nigeria, let's just use the 2.1 to 2.5 children. Let's say the average family is mommy and daddy and 3 kids. What thing that can 10,000 Naira do for a family of 5 within the Nigerian space? Absolutely nothing. But then, of course, there's no investments in infrastructure. They are claiming that they are giving these monies to the poor, but there's no poor that has come forth to say monies has been given to him or her. So millions and hundreds of millions of dollars and now trillions of nairas are disappearing. So I did say your ears will pop and your eyes will pop. Mine are certainly popping now, because we regurgitate these things all the time, and this is the narrative that we speak to every single time within the Nigerian space. And I can bet you before the week runs out, I will be bringing you another storyline of this sort of monies. I remember I did a video once of a governor in the east that the EFCC was alleging that this guy was taking a good 500 million naira out of the state coffers every single month, and he governed that state for 2 terms. That's 8 years. So 500 million naira for every month for 8 years. Then you can look already at the sum of money that this person, I don't know if it's true or false and if those figures are exactly accurate, but certainly they're near enough as makes no difference. So you can then imagine, because there's always a value cost to anything, so there's always an opportunity cost to everything. So the value and opportunity cost, of course, of all of that money that this guy is taking is the lack of schools, lack of roads, lack of hospitals, etc., etc. And this lackings that lacks within those spaces eventually leads to a poverty of the people, which then leads to, in instances, losses of life. So effectively, blood money really is what we're talking about. These people are taking, but do they really care? No. Every single one of their children, you know where they are, and they don't really live in Nigeria. They live in Dubai. Whereas Atiku live in Atiku, who was the vice president of Nigeria for 8 years. He cannot bear to live in his own country. He lives in Dubai. So they don't really care. And this is the narrative that is playing out again. Conversations in the comment section, are your ears popping and is your ears ringing? Mine certainly are. Come share thoughts about all this with me in the comment section. But before you do that, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. Bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you are making of this looting spree that never seems to end within the Nigerian space in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section. But here I say,